just a second. Bear with me, everyone. Just a second. Bear with me. Okay, great. This will begin the deliberations for February 24th, 2022 Zoning Board of Appeals hearing for the City of Rochester. And during deliberations, board members deliberate cases and render decisions. And during this time, there is no participation by either applicants or members of the public. So as I indicated, we will start with case 4, which is 98 Croydon Road. And just to make a note, there was a lot said during the hearing. I just want to make a note of saying that no member of the public has to prove standing when they submit comments for a zoning board of appeals case.
Right.
You know, the city encourages public feedback from neighborhood associations and residents and what have you. Certainly the board can, you know, consider everything when they're rendering a decision, but there is no need to prove any sort of standing. So I just wanted to make note of saying that.
They can basically express their opinion about something, correct? That's why they're there.
So yeah, so the public notification goes to all property owners within 600 feet, within a 600 feet radius, 600 foot radius, excuse me, as well as the official neighborhood contact for the neighborhood. So anybody that gets a postcard or the neighborhood contact or anybody that finds out about it, and this board knows that. You've heard testimony from people from across the city for all sorts of cases. So
yeah, standing is a legal term for in litigation, and it absolutely does not apply here. So
Right.
you can disregard that, of course, as you know.
No question. So let's jump right in it. Before we get sort of to the standards, we all heard a lot of testimony from the applicant, from the applicant's attorney, and from the public. So just wanted to get initial reactions and thoughts from the board members on this case. Cora, I see you're ready to go. So what are your just thoughts? I know there's a lot of information presented.
Yeah, I just kind of had a hard time with this one. The addition wasn't really seamless. The examples didn't really compare. I don't love the front yard parking. I don't think that it reflects the character of the neighborhood. There are no other houses on the street with front yard parking. I have a very narrow driveway. I understand that struggle. I think that Marilyn made some great points just about, you know, the nature of parking in the city.
Okay. Anybody else? Open thoughts before we sort of get to the standards, though. Just wanted to get folks' opinion on what you thought from public, from applicant. Holly, you look like.
Oh, yeah, I'm in the same place as Cora. You know, the letter from the lawyer, the application from the lawyer, you know, kept saying that it was minor. But 7.5 feet total is not minor, and parking in the front, you know, there were all of those examples of comparison driveways, but none of them are actually comparisons because none of them are parking in the front of the house. There was only one that had additional parking in the front of the thing, but it was like in the front of part of the garage. It wasn't actually in front of the house. And, you know, I think when we all buy houses in the city, we know that we have alternate street parking, and we know if we have more than one car in a driveway that only fits one car, that we have to stack. And I'm uncomfortable when we make decisions based on convenience versus like actual need and standards. So that's where I am.
Okay.
I'm looking at it in a way that I look at our responsibility on the zoning board. We zone people in and we zone people out of community. And I was looking at who was this house built? The house probably built for horse and buggy, you know, and we got to be realistic, you know, the guy, you know, and change with the time. As times change, we have to change some of our attitudes too. Because I was looking at the picture of his truck, for instance, the type of work that he does. You know, I know that constitute or anything about regarding the driveway, but I think we have to look at how we're zoning things in and zoning things out. And people are getting caught up in the middle.
Yeah.
I think we better be very careful.
Do keep in mind, though, I mean, you know, the fact is that the code does not permit front yard parking. And if that is not a reasonable standard of the code, then it needs to be changed, and so you know, you can get a variance from it if they meet the standards, but do keep in mind that that is currently in the code. Now, whether
Okay.
in our new code we should change that, that's another issue.
I want to address that, you know, that's in the code. You can park in any front yard. You can park in any front yard. With the driveway, you can pull in your driveway and park.
Yeah, correct,
There's nothing no one can do about that.
correct.
That's what the applicant offered is, you know, he said I can park in the driveway, the front part of the driveway,
Yeah.
but not in front of the structure.
Yeah, you know.
I also have concerns about their, you know, with the curb cut. I know he said he carefully pulls in, but a lifetime of pulling in, I mean, I imagine it would have some real wear on that.
Yeah.
On that curb.
Lorraine, where do you stand with this one? What are your thoughts?
Well, I have to agree with a few other people. It's, you know, it's the nature of living in the city. You know, we've all had, I don't know, most of us have had experiences in and out. And I think of much, you know, busier roads. I think of Winton. I think of, you know, I think of Winton Road a lot because it seems like we had a few on there. I just think of each case is individual, but it's city living, you know, and it's a code. And I think it's a very reputable code. And so, you know, I don't think it's for convenience.
Yeah.
Alter it for things that aren't justifiable. He doesn't even have a justifiable reason to me.
Yeah, I think, and just to give my perspective, I look at it a bit differently from everybody. I think I'm looking at it from that minor, prior to the owner buying the house, this use of if it was asphalt, concrete, or whatever pavement was there, it was there for whatever period of time since the structure was built. And I think I take the point that I think that David was trying to get at in terms of the homeowner could have redid the driveway and they could have put, you know, pavers from right in front of where their steps were and added the 2 feet, and they can still park whatever vehicle they have. I'm not looking at it from a perspective, I guess, of the use, because even though I know that's what we're looking at tonight in terms of, okay, this front yard parking use, but I think we have to understand too, is that he added 2 feet, you know, illegally, legally. He added it illegally, but I'm looking at it from the 2 feet. So I wouldn't deny him and tell him, hey, go take up all that concrete and take up more of it it was already, I'm not saying it was concrete. Let's say it was asphalt there before. We would then be asking this applicant to go and remove the significant amount of work that was already existing before he bought the home. So I think if we would go back and say, hey, go take the 2 feet out, you know, that's sort of reasonable. But for us to then deny an application and have this applicant go out and remove an existing piece of concrete, I just think that's unreasonable for something that has been with the property so long. I know that, you know, he's parking on it, but I think we're sort of looking at it a bit differently. And I think the neighborhood association wasn't really looking, they're looking more at, there's a car parked there. I think if he would have just put all concrete down, and if he had a little Prius and slid it in the back, you would never hear about it. But of course, it's coming before us because it's a huge truck that's parked in the front. So I'm just saying what I want us to think about what's really reasonable for the applicant as well. The applicant has spent a significant amount of money to make improvements to their home. I think if we would ask the applicant to take out all of the concrete in front of his steps and put pavers, what stops him from parking anything on the pavers?
Yeah.
You know, so I think this is an appropriate time for us I'm going to support legalizing it, but I would love to hear more. Obviously, we're going to go through the standards. But, you know, that's just, I wanted to give my perspective on how I see this. Because I see it a little bit differently than some of you have presented it. And of course, as I said during the applicant, we take all these cases by merit. I think of course, I've denied front yard parking cases. I think we've approved. I think about one we've approved, like for, you know, the billetiers on a Culver, you know, when they did the pavers in front and we did some landscaping. So I'm just looking at this a little bit differently and just seeing what's reasonable for the applicant. And I do support the standards that the applicant has in their application, but just trying to see I guess we have to see why others don't. That's where I am.
Keep in mind, you mentioned being reasonable. So it's the zoning board's job to apply the standards as you indicated. So what we may want to do is run through the standards here.
Yeah,
Of course, yeah.
the
To
standards.
be able to address that. So, and also of note, this zoning board is of course aware from previously issued notices of decision that the intent of the R1 low density district, the purpose statement within the district states that the intent is to have open front yards. So just as a reminder for that, it has been used before in previous notices of decision. So starting with case number 1, the benefit to the applicant, which I think we heard a lot about from the applicant, outweighs any detriments to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or the community by the granting of the variance.
So I don't think that it meets this standard. The language and so if we're on the packet, we're on 15 and 16. Basically the benefit to the applicant is convenience, and so that was why I asked the question that I did to clarify that was he doesn't want to have to stack cars and he doesn't want to have to park on the street. Any of us with a single driveway don't want to stack cars and move cars at annoying times or park on the street, but that's sort of what we do. But the language of what the write-up is, it talks about other houses on the street having bigger driveways, which some of them do because some of them have 2-car garages, but they're also not parking in the front, and that's where I think we lose the essential character of the neighborhood when we're parking in front of the structure versus on the driveway next to the structure. And I don't agree with the part of the standard in the middle of page 16 where it says accordingly the proposed variance would actually make the property more consistent with the community character, because it doesn't. There aren't other houses on the street that park in front of the house. So for me, it for those reasons it doesn't meet the standard for me.
Yeah, and I would certainly, I disagree. I think in terms of the applicant has, in terms of looking at the improvements they've made, the improvements they've made to the home in terms of the new concrete driveway, what they have done is they've really improved, number one, how the neighborhood looks. It looks much better with this improving concrete. He isn't impeding on the sidewalk in any way in terms of the vehicle or the improvements he made with the driveway. I think in terms of, yes, as I think some of the applicants and support mentioned, yes, people who are walking in the neighborhood and somehow come down the street may see like, oh, there's a vehicle up front. But again, as David pointed out in his testimony, if you have a driveway that runs from your front to the rear of your property, you can drop your car right in the front and leave it there every night. Is someone going to complain and say, hey, I don't like looking at a vehicle in the front yard? I just think if you look at other parts in this neighborhood in the city, I think you do see people park their vehicles, even if they have room to go in the rear, they have the ability to leave their car right in the front yard if they want to. So I just think I don't buy that argument that it's such a detriment that we have to see this car parked in the front, because you see it all throughout the city. I don't even think that's everywhere. A fair argument.
I don't think that's the point.
Is that an alternative though to this requested variance, to park it there as opposed to in front of the structure, for question 3?
And in terms of parking it in front of the structure, I don't really see that it's any difference than parking in front of the structure, because you can do the same thing in any neighborhood or any home in terms of parking in front of the structure. And I think that you still have the ability to see the home, you still have the ability to walk to the front. I think they've added the 2 feet because that was somewhat in the photos part of it, so you can get from the sidewalk to the front yard. And I mean, if the homeowner has the ability to get and utilize their home, I think that's the most important piece of it. But I definitely see your point. I just don't agree with it.
I don't agree with that, simply because if everyone was allowed to do what they want to do, what would everything look like? So you have to have some semblance of order somewhat, right? That's what a city code is about, right? Because everyone's not randomly parking their, boat in their front yard or their motorcycles or their horse or whatever they might have in the front yard. So in order to keep some semblance of continuity, I agree with, I don't agree with what he said. And I don't think his reasons and even going through the standards were justifiable to me for permitting that. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Tyrese. Yeah, a homeowner should be able to do what they want to do. But
No, I didn't say that at
I'm not
all.
saying that, not saying that.
I didn't say that at all. The point of this board is not for, we can tell everybody do what the code says, but the point of this board is for people to come and apply for a variance. That's why they're there. So I can't turn around and tell every applicant do what the code says. That's what we're here to do. Is sometimes the code sometimes people has to do things differently to come and prompt them to get a variance. That's pretty much the point of them coming here. I can't turn around and say, do what the code says, because they've come here with.
What do you think the code's for then? I mean, of course there's a variance. That's why they're here.
What is the ability for the zoning board then, if we're just going to turn around and tell people? I understand what you're saying. You may not disagree. You may disagree. I hear your point, but I can't turn around and just say, number one, I didn't say allow people to do what they want. They are coming here to apply for a variance to the code for a certain reason. You can certainly disagree with their reasoning, but I didn't say allow residents to do what they want. As I communicated, we all have denied and approved front yard parking. I'm saying the facts that I believe that were laid out, and I just explained, and you disagreed. But I just wanted to correct that. I didn't say residents can do what they want. I'm just saying that what I believe the benefits do outweigh. I'm just saying the point. I'm countering what Holly said.
Okay,
Go ahead,
can I put a question? Because now I'm on the fence, right? And it seems like I might be the deciding vote. So I guess my question is, what does approving it look like, and what does not approving it look? What do we want to see? If you're against it, do you want to see it restored? Is there a happy medium? Is there a lesser relief? If you're for it, are you for it as it stands? What are we kind of thinking?
Let's continue. It's my advice.
Let's finish through the standards first and then come back.
Yeah, let's go through the standards. So
let's go through it.
We've talked a little bit about number one. Let's go to number two. So the essential character of the area. So the applicant offered testimony the applicant offered an application in the form of photographs and an addendum showing properties that they feel what seem like meet what they're trying to do. So why don't you point to some photos in the application which show a similar situation that the applicant is trying to do? And again, they're not applying for a widening of the driveway. Yes, there are driveways that are wider than 10 feet in the area. What they're making an application to do is have a parking area in the front yard. So if it's a wider driveway which goes to a 2-car garage, or a wider driveway which leads around back, but it doesn't actually go in front of the structure, which is defined as the front yard. There's a definition in the zoning code of front yard. So why don't we talk about some of those photos that meet the character of the area for number two then?
So I didn't see any that were the same in the packet that we were provided. The closest one is the second one, 65 Croydon, but that extra
What
leg
page
of
number are you
parking,
on?
it's on page 2 of their exhibits.
Okay, let me get there for you.
So it's their second picture of 65
Which
Croydon.
goes to the outside of the house.
Yes, so
Yeah.
that's the closest one, but it's still not in the front yard. But
You said 115, right? Page 15, right?
it says page 2 on the bottom of it.
It says page
65
2.
Croydon.
Yeah, 65 Croydon.
Oh, 65 is the number of the house, Therese. It's page 2 as part of their supplement.
Second picture they provided. It looks like this. I don't know if that's helpful or not.
Oh, yep, I have it. Yeah, I would say the one on 2, and I would say the one on page 15 as well.
Well, see, I'm saying number 2 isn't the same though. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying of the pictures, this one would be the closest, but it's not the same as what they're asking for.
Yeah,
you know.
I think it's
not parking in
challenging.
front of the house.
Yeah, I think it's challenging. I think because so many homes in the neighborhood sort of have a unique character because all of them are different. As
Yeah.
David pointed out, they were built differently. They all have different size garages. So I really think it's a unique circumstance for the applicant just on how the home was built. Try not jumping to the unique circumstance piece of it, but that's just my perspective.
Any other photographs of mention that the applicant, because remember, we need to use for every case what the applicant supplied as evidence for their case.
Right.
Number 15 in that photos, it is again closer to that number 2 where it's wider than.
Yeah, I would say 15 is certainly closer than 2.
Mhm. And I don't
Any
think
photographs of showing driveways to the front of the structure?
no.
Not that I can see from what they submitted.
No,
Oh,
Because remember, I need to
15
include
for
this.
sure. I believe 15 is.
The parking
part of a
is not in
decision.
front of the house, even in 15.
no, it's not.
It doesn't lead to a
15
structure.
is close.
It's not front yard.
It's
got a
not the front yard,
sidewalk.
correct? That's not the front yard.
That's not, it's because the sidewalk basically differentiates the garage from the house.
Sidewalk is different. I think they're talking about the width of the driveway going to the
I know,
right
I'm
of the
just
garage.
saying
Oh,
that
okay.
there is a sidewalk, man. I'm just saying that there, that.
Yeah, no, I see it in the
Yeah.
photo. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's all I'm saying.
Is there a way, I don't mean to get into any trickery or anything. As far as,
Good time hearing you, David. Go ahead.
hold on. As far as the width of the new concrete that he put down, I think it was 12, 14 inches.
So from what it sounds like, well, I'll tell you what the code says. The code says you can't exceed 10 feet, which is what was mentioned in the application, because their driveway does lead around back. It sounds like from what's been discussed is that the previous owner did an expansion without a permit, and then they did a further expansion. So the applicant had testified that they were parking slightly with some ruts in the lawn previously.
Yes.
But if they had 15 feet of driveway, they must have been moving their vehicle off of it partly so that they could not have to shuffle vehicles.
Right.
So, because if they had 15 feet, still illegal, they would only have 5 feet of driveway where the person could pass, if that makes sense. And I'm sure a vehicle is wider than 5 feet because a parking space is 9 by 18 is defined by the zoning code. So even if he had the 15, it sounds like that it wasn't able to have a car pass. But there's nowhere in the code where you have a guarantee of a car passing.
Mhm.
The original 15-foot driveway, it looks like what they were doing was paving a sidewalk to the front stoop and didn't separate the driveway from the front walk. So I don't think the original owner was likely parking there.
Right.
Right. No. Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah.
Well, look at the picture of the house on page, let's see, 1 of 2, the original, the house.
Yeah,
Isn't that
4
it?
and
Yeah.
3 and 4.
What
mean-
page are you on, Lorraine?
On page 1, it says page 1 of 2. It has all the details about the original purchase and square feet. And,
Oh, I
you know,
see. Yeah,
Yeah.
the area ends immediately at the front stoop. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
It shows
Right, and
up
it was a-
clear
and it
on
was-
pages 3 and 4 of their application, yeah.
3 and 4.
Yeah, and it looks like that extra 2 feet that he put in.
Well, and that doesn't show up until page 5 and 6.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of it. I'm agreeing with
Yeah,
Lorraine.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know when that picture is from, but yeah.
But you can see it was paved there too, Tyrese. That whole area was,
I'm for
yeah.
sure. If
Yeah.
it was any, I agree. I think
Yeah.
I know it was paved and he put another 2 feet in.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying too.
Yeah. I don't think there was like pavers down because, that they
Right.
ripped up pavers and put asphalt down or a sidewalk.
I have to say, I don't really want to, I feel compromised about, I don't really want to ask him to, what do you ask him to do? We would have to ask him to tear up the asphalt or the part that he added. So that's basically the pro and con. If we vote against it, right? Then he has to, what can we ask him?
Right. So anytime, yes, Lorraine. So anytime someone does something without a permit or any sort of special approval, yes, this board would make a decision that would force them to correct the violation. Because everyone in the city is subject to the zoning code. So
Right.
if someone comes into the permit counter tomorrow and makes an application to do it, they are subject to the same code as well. So yes, that's the.
So if we disagree with this, we'll have him tear up that parking, tear up that 12 inches that he put in and get another vehicle.
Say
What,
that for me
David?
again, David.
We're
What?
telling him to take that concrete up that he put down and buy another vehicle. Because he can't get into the pack. He's gonna park there regardless.
Well, he can park it in the driveway portion,
Yeah.
which is around back.
You can still park.
He can still park and he
Park
can
is
still
park.
achieve off-street
No,
parking.
but I think to Lorraine's question, to clarify, so we get the car. I don't think the car is really the issue.
No, it's not.
He's not, he can park it on the street, but her question was, so how, if it's a denial or a default denial, which I think it may be, because I'm going to vote in favor of the application. But what, with the 2 feet, or would he have to what would he have to remove?
He'd have to
What
get
if
the front down to 10 feet.
he'll have to get it down to 10 feet. So Lorraine will have to, and it's currently at
17.
17 and a half.
17? It's at
So he
17.
is at 17, so he would have to legalize it and bring it back to 10 feet.
So he'd be
Oh.
responsible for what he put down plus what was previously there.
Correct.
Now, you know what we'd
Wait
have
a
to
minute.
look at is the part in front of his stoop, is that a sidewalk that just isn't physically separated from the driveway? Because
Because
you
that
can have a
you don't dictate
sidewalk.
material on that, do you?
Just because it's one, if it was two different materials, you would think, oh, that's the sidewalk to the
Right.
front steps.
Yeah.
So
Right.
whether
Kind of
we
differentiate.
could look at it as the sidewalk and not require him to remove the the stuff that was there when he bought it.
The page 4.
Um, Yeah,
You're talking about the page
and
4.
that's not, and as long as he put some kind of, what you could require is that he put something that prevents him from then having 2 tires on the grass, that there be some kind of barrier there.
So-
Where the 2 feet is.
Replace the 2 feet with some kind of hedge.
Something, yeah, so that he
So-
doesn't
Or something.
do what he did originally.
Yeah, I don't love it.
Keep in mind, he bought this knowing that wasn't meant to be a double driveway.
Yeah, that's true.
What Johanna is talking about is removing, the 2.5 feet that was installed and then installing some sort of a landscape barrier immediately to the left, which would prevent him from pulling onto the grass. But still
Yeah.
give us a
So
sidewalk walk
So
up.
now we're stopping him from putting in a sidewalk if that's what he wants. What if you
No.
want to put a
No, you're
sidewalk?
not. You're facilitating a sidewalk.
No,
Right.
keep the sidewalk. Keep
I
the
don't want
sidewalk.
something in bushes personally. I mean, I get it. But that feels like a bit far.
Nice.
Well, we were on number 2 with the essential character talking about photos. Anything additional on that?
Those of you who are inclined to grant the variance, where do you have, how are you addressing that character of the neighborhood issue? No, I'm sorry, the second standard?
The second, is that, we're on the second one?
Yeah, like the no change in the character of the neighborhood. What would your, how would you feel that this meets that standard?
Yeah, like I previously said, I think that there are homes that, and again, I get we're talking in terms of parking in front of the structure. I think that partially the character, it's not the strongest, but part of this is that in looking at other homes in the neighborhood, and looking at how folks park, I don't see in terms of how we look at structure. There are some homes that, you know, their structure has a garage door in front of it and it's living space above it, or that the garage is detached. I sort of see this. I sort of see this differently, and I know, you know, yeah, will it hold up in court? I don't know. That's up to the city to defend. But I just think that there are others there with the information that's presented. There are driveways that lead to structures. I know we're talking about the structure of the home, but I still think that there's vehicles that you see sort of in this front yard, in front of structures. Let it be garage doors or not. I think that the poor taste that's being brought by opposition and being maybe seen by members of the board is that it's parking in front of a front door instead of maybe a garage door. You know, it's still in front of a structure in a sense. So that's sort of how I'm seeing it. And I think that's how the public's seeing it, the folks who spoke in opposition of it, because it's not that we want to see a vehicle in the rear yard, because I mean, there's multiple pictures where garages are right detached next to the front door. Yes, the vehicle isn't in the front door, but the vehicle is in front of a structure on the home that's all connected. So that's how I'm looking at it. And, you know, it may not be the strongest argument, but that's how I see it.
I guess my question is, if we consider the house a structure, then wouldn't that negate front yard parking altogether?
Yeah.
Yeah, so to bring this back here, Johanna's question is really about what evidence is being submitted by the applicant to show a parking area in front of the house, not in front of a garage, not in front of the side of a garage, not what evidence is supported. Because keep in mind, it has to be a strong argument because this board has to issue a notice of decision. And in issuing that notice of decision, it needs to be based on sound evidence that the applicant supplied, which I think is where Johanna's question was coming from.
Well,
Page 19 is another example where I think it could be. I mean, page 19 is an obvious one, where of course you can't see the vehicle parked there now, but the vehicle can obviously park in front of the door.
but
And that's
go ahead, Tyrese, I'm sorry.
And that's the front door of the home. I mean, looking closely, if you look closely at page 19, you're dealing with the same situation. What is that front yard, or they could be. Those
are two cars in front of a 2-car garage, though, I believe.
But you can but just because the applicant didn't submit photos of just happen to catch vehicles parked in front of the front door, does that mean they don't have any evidence then?
Well, it wouldn't be a legal parking area, and they'd be cited and be going before the board.
I think back to Joanna's question about the neighborhood. I don't think it is a benefit, but essential to the character of the neighborhood, given the facts and the statements presented, most notably from the neighborhood association. They're the ones that are trying to, keep things just like, any neighborhood association. They're trying to keep things copacetic, And so I think it is a detriment to the neighborhood. And that is a strong answer for it, simply because of all the homes in the neighborhood. The spokesperson for that organization is saying, yes, we would like to prohibit this type of parking in front yards.
Now, his neighbors.
I'm not talking about the neighbors or anything. I'm talking about the neighborhood association, which is representative of the character of the neighborhood.
Yeah. But his neighbors has a very good concern also. They are directly involved. They live directly across the street, and they live next door to him.
That's only two people.
There's only two can be there. One directly in front of the one next door. Only two can be there.
But I'm talking about the whole neighborhood, David.
They are there.
And I'm talking about evidence presented from the whole neighborhood.
Someone that live exactly next door or across the street. And they're saying it don't affect them. They think it's good for what he's done. I think that should be taken into consideration. Because they are the ones that's being affected the most. The people on the street are being affected.
But,
Cost of a property,
but the point is,
if we get a property cost,
Standard.
property, if we get in the property cost, they are the one that's going to be immediately affected, not the ones on the street.
no, it's basically establishing, like what the statement says, for a standard, the character of the neighborhood. So why else would we have a neighborhood association if we don't want to defend or oppose the character of the neighborhood?
I understand the purpose of a neighborhood association, but all neighborhood associations aren't there to benefit the people. I've worked for one, but we have to look at the people that's immediately affected. And
See,
they're saying they love it.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I can't see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, well, no, that's fine. That's your opinion. I just don't agree.
All right, let's move on to the other feasible means. What do you think about that one?
I'm sorry, I had all my pages backwards. That's why I couldn't follow you guys. That's why I was so confused because mine weren't in order.
That'll make sense now, Tyrese.
No, it wasn't in that, like, I don't know what, I don't have a staple in it, so it's all over the place.
Oh,
No, I'm saying from you
You
finding.
had 7 number
Yeah,
fours.
I can't find no, I can't, so I'm like, okay.
okay.
It's
Is there another
confusing the way this
feasible
is
means
written
for the
anyhow.
applicant to pursue this?
Not to achieve the benefit that they want. I mean, not to achieve the benefit that they want to. For them to have the ability to come in and out of the driveway. I mean, because that's what he's presenting. He's presenting the ability to park multiple vehicles and to get them out without maneuvering them around other vehicles or getting out to moving them. So, no, I don't think there's any other, feasible method for the applicant here. But of course, I know folks will disagree, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I mean, I sort of have to agree with you, even though I don't want to.
Well, keep in mind the alternative, if he's seeking off-street parking, he can park forward of the
You
house.
can park, yeah,
But to Teresa's point,
right. So, I mean, to get exactly what he wants, I don't think there is any other option because he wants to be able to have a driveway that accommodates 2 cars across in a lot that has a car that only fits 1. And so to get exactly what he wants for his convenience, I don't think there is another remedy, but he can still park in his driveway and other cars can still park in his driveway. He just would have to shuffle them like thousands of other people have to shuffle them.
let's go to number 4. Is front yard parking a substantial variance request?
Not front yard parking, but the applicant's request, correct?
Correct. And well, I said front yard parking because that's what they're cited for on the
Right.
staff report. But yes, you could say is the applicant's request, is the requested variance that's being requested substantial?
I mean, I think if we look at the original of 10 feet, and obviously the 5.5 feet were there before he got there, or the 5 feet were there before he got there. And so I get that, but the difference between the application over and over again says that it's not substantial and that it's, a minimal change, but the difference between 10 feet and 17.5 feet is significant and it is substantial. It's more than half the original 10.
Okay. Any
Yeah,
other-
I don't think it's significant. I think if we were looking at the curb cut, that would totally be different. But I think with the curb cut remaining, with the curb cut being legal, I think sort of, for me, it lessens that is it substantial a bit because it's contained, sort of the driveway's contained by a smaller curb cut. Where I think if you had a different curb cut than the neighborhood, that's a little bit, I'm looking at that a bit differently. But I think his relief is a sort of contained by having a legal size curb cut.
I think the curb cut is actually, I think a larger curb cut would not be in character if the other.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying the driveway being larger, to Polly's point, I don't think that that's substantial.
It's not.
But again, I think there's other driveways in the neighborhood that are that size. But again, his leads to this structure and steps, not to a 2-car driveway. You know, if I'm looking at other homes in the neighborhood, it's a lot of folks that have larger than 10-foot driveways. They've got huge driveways in those neighborhoods, a lot, most significantly. I think his isn't in character because, you know, those are in Browncoff, people have significantly larger homes than other folks in the city. You maybe look at Browncoff, Dewey, and parts of Highland, they have some of the largest homes in the city. So I think his is a bit different than the rest of folks' driveways in that neighborhood. If we're looking at just the size, what he's asking, and not looking at it being in the front yard, but the totality of it, no, I don't think it's substantial.
Just to put it back on track, we're not talking about the width of the driveway. We're talking.
No,
about
I understand. I get it. Yeah.
Number 5 is physical and environmental conditions. Will the variance create an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood?
No, I don't think it will.
I think it would. No.
I mean, there's no evidence that was shown that it'll have an adverse effect. There's no trees being removed. I mean, by him putting that extra 2 feet in, he's actually I think, and again, if it was I think looking at it, he sort of cleaned up what was there, because what we heard through testimony from his immediate neighbors is that, hey, this property was sort of in disarray for so long, and this applicant has come on and put money into it to improve it. So I think he has improved. And then when you look at noise or light, I don't see how that is bringing anything else that any other resident wouldn't have in his neighborhood. And of course, I do think obviously difficulty is self-created. So.
Okay. Any other board members on number 5, physical or environmental conditions, or number 6?
That depends on the way you look at it.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking. That's why we're here, Lorraine.
Pardon me?
That's why you're here. You're all here.
Well, I think a lot of the comments were unwarranted in regards to the negativity of it, like the pickup. Well, big deal. He has a pickup. He has a big pickup. Some could say, okay, well, that is like a few people did remark about that. So it could be perceived as being negative, as it was to some people, but I don't hold that.
So to bring that back, he would be here if he was driving a Prius trying to park there.
Right,
so
yeah.
Prius, it's not the make and model of the vehicle. Again,
No.
what we're looking at is the fact that a motor vehicle, a passenger vehicle, is being parked in what the code defines as a front yard. So,
Right.
so yes, the fact that it's a truck is not relevant. Like I said, if it was a Prius, it would also be here. But it is important to note that it is a parking area, and it does give rights for someone to park their vehicle there, regardless of make and model.
Right.
All right. Anything else on that one? Oh, we got to get moving a little bit here.
You have to vote now.
Yep.
You do. Any final anything?
Nope. I'll make a motion to grant.
I'll second it.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to poll the members, and I'm going to start with Tyrese
Grant.
and David
Grant.
and Lorraine
Oppose. Deny.
and Cora.
Hey.
I'm sorry. Deny. And Holly.
Deny.
Okay. So the motion is a default denial. Let me check and see who is on the call. Case 5, 1662 St. Paul Street is next. These are the Sunoco signs on Norton and St. Paul.
What number did you say it is?
Five.
Case 5,
5. Okay, thanks.
yeah, St. Paul Street.
My papers got, I was having a Tyrese moment where my papers got all tangled.
Forever known as the Tyrese moment.
I wonder
Sorry,
why
Tyrese.
I was like looking at it like, wait, what are they?
What are these people talking about?
Let's open this case up. So what you're reviewing here, as a reminder, this property has a new canopy coming. And bear with me, I'm trying to get to my staff report. Here we go. Signs. Section 120, 159, what you're looking at here provides the canopy fascia signs are not permitted. The proposal includes installing canopy fascia signs for Sunoco on the north elevation, which is illuminated, and the Sunoco insignia on the west elevation. So it's kind of twofold here. There's one illuminated sign, and the fact that there's signs at all on the canopy is what's under review here.
Yeah, so let's just open this one up and see how folks think. I mean, I don't think, from testimony, everyone was fine with that. I mean, I'm fine with the signage. I just don't think that the signage on the canopy should be lit. I mean, they have a ground sign that's going to be lit. Folks I just don't buy that argument where we're trying to get people to see. I mean, I see the gas. I think people are trying to market gas. People are going to gas because they see the price. There's a ground sign that's existing there that they'll redo that's pretty sharp, and you can see from if you're coming from Norton, if you're coming from Norton, and what's that other street, St. Paul, and I just think having the LEDs. I mean, we on Dewey Avenue, I just drove past there and it looks pretty clean. And then once you're under the canopy, they put so many lights under the canopy, and the actual stations are then sort of lit, that you see Sunoco, you see the brand on it. So I just think it's an overkill, and I think it's too much lighting at night. I have no problem with the lighting with the signage being on the canopy, but I just doesn't think it could be that what's the opposite of recessed? Because what they're showing say it again.
Protruding.
Yeah, because what this one is sort of different because the signage is sort of coming out.
Talking about the Sunoco insignia or the
the Sunoco is yes, that and this longer Sunoco sign, because they're basically LED signs. So I just wouldn't be. I don't think they need the LED. It's a really small station.
Mhm.
And I just think it's too much. But what do you guys think?
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but so is the whole canopy itself lit? And that
No, just the signage. Just the
Underneath.
But how
signage.
do they
clear.
light the sign though? Because this is are they letters is it
it's wired from behind.
each
Yeah, they're
individual
they're
letter
wired from behind.
is lit. Okay, so the canopy
Yeah.
itself isn't lit.
No, yeah.
Are you talking about the logos? I mean, there's
Yeah,
only
that's on the
3
logo.
logos.
Yeah, the logos are their actual signage. They're not on the canopy like we did on Dewey Avenue.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
I don't have a
Let's think
problem
about
with this
that.
one, simply because I don't think it's like the other one, because the residential part of it, I don't think a big residential area is going to be impacted by it. And the illumination, I think, has a lot of different variables to it. It sees, you can see looking out there, is somebody going to get mugged while they're getting their, oh no, I can see who that is. I mean,
Well,
illumination and
so
lights.
They still have all of the lighting, like Tyree said, under. So you
Yeah.
have
The last
It's underneath.
page shows it.
it's not
Yeah.
the logo. It's whether or not the logo needs to be lit. I mean, those gas station lights are so bright. There's so
Yeah.
much lighting, and a logo.
Like a down lighting.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
logo is not.
I'm not talking about the logo being lit. I'm talking about just the illuminated lighting within the canopy. It's
No, I'm not. But that's not what we're discussing at all. We're talking about the actual
That's
signage.
the logo.
Yeah, the
Are you
logo.
talking logos? You say signage. Are you
I-
talking about a
Look
logo?
at the last page, because I was questioning about the look at the very last page,
Okay.
which shows what they're.
Well, it's written on the first page, so I don't need to go to the last page. 'Cause
No,
it's
but it
written
just shows.
I mean, it's written what they want. That's what I'm talking
Right.
about. I'm
But
talking
that
about what's
shows how
before us.
it's so well lit underneath.
Yeah,
Well, I think the point is that because it's so well lit underneath, the light in the logo does not add a significant light for any safety purpose. It's for advertising purpose. It's for
Mhm.
marketing purpose.
that's what the
Market, that's
logo
all.
is for.
But
It's
with all
for
the other lights, it's there,
branding.
necessary,
Mhm.
I guess.
Right.
I agree.
So, okay, so maybe I'm confused. Are they talking about lighting the logos?
Yes.
The panel
Yes,
all the way
Yes.
around?
Actual,
not
No,
all, not
no.
all the way around. The
Just the
sign
name.
Just
So-
the logo?
Yes.
and and Sunoco's name would be lit. So
Right.
what you see would be lit.
Is
word-
Sunoco, right?
The words. So the words and the
Oh,
emblem.
right. Yeah, no, I don't think that's necessary. Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I don't think. Yeah,
No,
that-
I
don't
agree.
think-
It is overkill. It is overkill. I
This
agree.
is on two sides of what you're looking at is two sides of the canopy, one on the St. Paul side and then one on the north side, which is not a street elevation.
Right. I'm fine with the signage, but I just don't think they need to be lit.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, let's run through the standards on this one. So the benefit to the applicant here, and it sounds like the benefit to the applicant that you're referring to is an unlit sign. So yes, signs, but not lit.
Yeah.
Outweigh any detriments to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or the community by the granting of the variance.
Yep.
Yeah, because when I asked them to expand on what they had written, they said that it would make it, that it would make things look better and that it would make it visible. And I think both of those things are achieved by the signage and don't rely on the lighting.
Agreed.
Right.
When you drive up to like that corner too, I mean, it's tough. When you're far away, you can't see that not coming down St. Paul.
That's
I
just a
mean,
curve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it kind of curves, you so you don't see it till you're right on it. And again,
Yeah.
I think the gas station has been there so long, folks. They're looking at that price, which now the price
that's
is
well
high
lit.
everywhere. So
So let's talk about number two, which you kind of just, Terry started talking about the essential character of the area. Will the proposal unlit signs produce any undesirable change in the character or be a detriment to nearby properties?
Nope,
No,
because they already have existing signage on the canopy.
Talk to me about the building to the north. That'll have a sign on it from your site visits. Any implication for the building for the north or any detriment for having a sign on it?
I don't think so.
I don't think
Wait,
so.
wait.
did they want one
proposing
on
a
the north
sign on-
end?
So there's a sign. Which
Oh,
is
they're
labeled-
proposing a sign on that building.
No, on
Two,
the,
they
on the,
proposing two,
they're proposing a sign on the north.
north side of the canopy.
Yes.
The canopy, but not the building of the store.
Right.
That's the canopy.
Just a
Okay,
canopy.
yeah, that's what. Yeah, I think
Gas
that's-
canopy.
Yeah.
Any concerns around that sign facing that north elevation, which is not a street,
No.
just based on what you have seen
Right.
from site plan or site visits?
Yeah.
Right.
Is there any other feasible alternative to the requested variance? This is no other remedy, number 3.
No, there's really not any other remedy. I mean, they needed to promote their business. I think it helps understand wayfinding, that this is a Sunoco station. I'm sort of more in favor with this since they're not proposing to put any additional Sunoco signage on the building itself.
Right.
So I do think that an unlit sign helps them.
The other thing about this one, and you had brought this up during the hearing, Tyrese, was around the one on Dewey and Lexington, where they were actually proposing 4
Right.
Right.
on each canopy. So it's sort of lesser or more in
Right.
line with that, but less than the original.
Yeah.
Is the requested variance substantial?
No. I would
Sounds like
say no.
removing the lighting makes it
Yes.
Got
not
it, yeah.
substantial. Number 5 is the physical environmental conditions, creating any adverse impact.
I don't think so.
I don't
No.
think so.
And lastly, the self-created question, which does not necessarily preclude the board from granting it.
Right.
Okay.
Any last minute comments, thoughts, concerns?
So we'd be making a motion to grant without the illumination?
Yep.
You'd be doing lesser relief. So you're inclined to grant something between what they came for and not a denial. So they get a little something, but not all of it.
Right.
Is there a motion or you want to talk more?
No, motion to grant with lesser relief that the signage proposed on the canopy is not lit and is not box lighting. It is not box signage, but just on the canopy. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Because what they're proposing is sort of box.
Say that again.
They're proposing sort of box, like a box signage to make it LED. So I don't want them to go put up a signage and just not light it. It needs to be on the canopy itself. So print it on the canopy, not
So you're
not a
talking about
separate
like
signage.
acrylic or vinyl to the sign, not a. Is that right? You don't
Yeah,
want
because that's not what they're proposing.
sign.
They're proposing what you see in the example, which is sort of a box sign that has to get made. So, what they should provide is what's on, it's included on that whatever that material is. It should be printed on that material, just like they have on Dewey.
So if they were like individual channel letters or whatever they call them that weren't lit, you don't want that.
No, you just
flush.
no. Yeah, just flush. Yeah, just like they did on Dewey.
Canopy.
Yeah, they did the same thing on Dewey. It's right included, which
So it's lesser relief, which is signage cannot be lit and it must be flush with the canopy.
yes, there we go.
Seconded.
Okay, so there's a motion, there's a second. I'm gonna go the opposite direction. This time we'll start with Holly.
Grant.
Cora,
Grant.
Lorene,
What do you mean flush with a canopy?
Flat as opposed to 3D.
as opposed to like sticking out from the canopy, flat against
The
it.
logos?
Yes, the logos. If they were lit, they were going to be 3D. But since they're not going to be lit, flat, like printed, like vinyl.
Just having the logo on the vinyl.
Correct.
Okay. I'm for it. I approve or whatever.
And then David
Grant.
and Tyrese.
Grant.
So the motion on lesser relief carries 5-0. Okay, case number 6 is 304-306 South Goodman Street.
This one is just to uphold the manager's decision.
Right.
Well, it's to either correct. Well, there's 3 things on the table really. The determination that it's a DBHV, the determination that the parking lot needs site plan review, and then the determination that a variance is required for the lot coverage.
Right. But we're not approving all 3 of those things. We are just upholding that decision from the manager of zoning or disagreeing. Yeah.
That is
so there's
correct.
there's no sense to go, we don't have to go through standard.
No,
So there's no standards.
Yeah,
What the code says is that the board has the same authority and access to information in the decision
Right.
process as the manager of zoning. So that's exactly right. That's what you're determining. You're upholding.
I uphold it.
That was clear. I wanted to make sure we got YouTube folks watching, so just.
Yes. And is there any other clarifications from the board on that? I want to make sure everyone understands that.
I just want to, so basically the site plan and the lot coverage doesn't matter if the decision is upheld, right?
Well, it's not that it doesn't matter. If you uphold the decision, you're saying that the process that was laid out for the applicant to pursue is the correct process.
Yeah, that's all we.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's all we got to do.
That's all we gotta do.
Yeah, that one was pretty simple. I mean, it's on the list. It's on the list. So is everyone pretty much in support to uphold the manager of zoning's decision?
Yes.
You want to take the poll, Matt?
Any further discussion we need to have around
No. No, ready.
evidence, or what was supplied to you was sufficient in explaining any of the questions that may have come up?
Correct.
I think what she submitted and what she testified sufficient.
It was very clear. It was, as she said, I didn't appreciate Art trying to make it difficult, because I don't think it was difficult at all.
She was very good.
Okay.
All right, so someone can make a motion and second, and I'll pull the members again.
I'll
We'll
make a
make a-
motion
The decision of the zoning manager.
and I will second it.
There you
Okay,
go.
so the motion is to uphold the zoning manager on all counts. We have a motion and a second, and we'll start with Tyrese
Aye.
and David
Grant.
and Lorraine
Grant.
and Cora
Grant.
and Holly.
Grant,
So the manager's decision on all counts is upheld. Next case is 460 Buffalo Road. This is the Aerospace Global sign.
Are we going back to number 3 to the beginning, or are they here?
Oh, I was just gonna keep going because I didn't think anyone else was here.
Number 3.
Because we started with,
Yeah, there's no other applicants here, so what we can do is, you can start with 3 and then we can skip to 7, or we can just keep going.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, sure. Let's go back to 3. This is the memory park for Highland for St. John's. Anybody had any comments on this?
I commented that as a professor of English, this was the most well-written and persuasive application we have seen in my 2 years on the board. I'm giving her an A.
I'll let Shira know you graded her as part of the deliberation.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is great. I'll make a motion to grant and to accept the standards in the application.
second,
All right, we'll go starting with Holly
Grant,
and Cora,
Grant,
Lorraine,
Grant.
David,
Grant.
and Tyrese.
Grant.
All right, so that motion.
Can you
carries.
recuse yourself because of personal opinions?
Because of what?
Your personal opinion or experiences with something?
Well, you
Because
can,
your
but it
opinion
is,
would be
we're
biased.
discouraged. I mean, you
What?
are, we hope that you can listen to testimony and apply it and make a decision and based on that testimony. If you feel that you have such a predisposition one way or the other on an application that you absolutely cannot make an unbiased decision, then you could recuse yourself. The problem with that is when we have only 4 or 5 members, that it makes it sort of we need then if you recuse yourself today when we have 4, we would only have 4 members voting and it would have to be unanimous vote. So I obviously if you know what's in your mind, and if you absolutely feel you couldn't be unbiased, then you recuse yourself. But I would hope you would not do that. Let's put it that way.
I have to do it all the time.
What?
Hmm?
I
What?
say I have to do it all the time.
Yeah, but you're talking about that you're concerned that you have involvement with a project that's a little different, whether
I know what you're
it's
saying.
potential
Yeah.
conflict.
So you were
rather than-
recusing yourself from Buffalo? You were considering recusing yourself from Buffalo Road, or no?
No, I was considering recusing myself from this proposal, Highland, from that.
Oh, okay. You guys can talk about that later. We got to get off this thing. I'm sorry. We got to keep moving. It's late. Let's go. I thought you were going to recuse yourself from Buffalo Road. I said, what do you know about arrows?
No, I can answer the question if I want.
Yeah,
No,
that's
thanks,
right.
Joanna.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm not,
yeah.
if I was gonna do it, I just wanted to know, if I would do it, I would do it, have done it before.
Okay,
before
yeah. Oh,
the-
okay, okay.
I just
gotcha.
wanted to know.
Generally, okay, yep.
All right, case number 7 is
Is this
460
one?
Buffalo Road. This is the detached 12-foot sign for Aerosafe Global. Initial thoughts and comments on this, and then we can get to the standards.
This one doesn't bother me as much as sometimes other really big things bother me, just because of the neighborhood and where it is. I think it's really sort of hard to see what's going on otherwise without having something big enough to identify it. And they are, if other people disagree with that, they are open to smaller signage.
Tyrese asked a question that I was curious about, which is who needs to see the sign other than, they said they were doing a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if she was it's unfortunate. I don't know if the one who presented, she had, I don't think she had the right, I don't think she had the right info. She had the right info.
Right.
Basically, they're trying to see it from Buffalo Road. They want you to see it from Buffalo Road, obviously. That's why it's so darn high. They want to be able to see it from Buffalo Road, because if you went back there, they already basically have the base in place next to the bushes. So I would say that, I think 12 feet is excessive. I just think it's excessive. I would be more inclined.
What's the code allow? 6?
The code is 6. I mean, I'll be more inclined. And then it's not lit. Oh, it is lit. Wait, but lighting, they can have lighting on it. That's not
because of the district.
Yeah, it goes with the district. I just think 12 is a bit excessive. And I don't know if I got the right answers in terms of, is it for customers? Is it for, who's coming back there? I mean, and I think who asked the question in terms of, I think David asked the question like, okay, if there's other users back there, now everyone's going to want a separate sign, a separate, they could put a 6-foot sign up, but now everyone's gonna say, well, I want 12 feet too,
It seems like a complex problem.
It's
the problem of the whole complex.
Yeah. It's just informational. It's not directions. It's not instructions. It's not location. It's informational. Oh, okay. I see on the big sign up front that they're back here. So, I know they're here. I just have to go back. Oh yeah, I see them. 12 feet. That's very excessive.
Yeah.
Would you be inclined for lesser relief, or would you be inclined just to, I mean, what's lesser relief? 8 is 8 lesser relief?
8 would be a lot lesser relief. Yeah. Yeah.
Or, because a denial would be, hey, you got to go put 6 feet out,
Yeah.
Go.
No,
8 feet is pretty high.
I know 8 feet is high too. But I mean, again, it's set back. It's set back in a what's the word I'm looking for? In an industrial park.
Industrial district, yeah.
Yeah, it's in an industrial district. Yeah. I mean, I would be inclined for 8 feet. At 12 is too excessive.
I agree.
12 is too high.
I agree.
I'd be fine with 8.
Me too.
Yeah. To approve with lesser relief, correct?
Yeah.
So let me make sure we are all on the same page here. So they can go up to no change to the size, just change to the height.
I don't know, because if we're making it that much shorter.
Would you want to do 6 by 8? What are you thinking, Holly?
Yeah, 96 square feet is pretty big.
96 feet, yeah, that's huge compared to what?
Well, the other thing here is that I guess I sort of answered my own question or walked into it. The lesser height is going to lessen the configuration of the sign. So if the board is inclined to do lesser relief, exactly, Lorraine. If the board is inclined to do lesser relief and you say you can go up to 8 feet in height, but still retain the 8 feet in width, you're already shrinking the size of the sign. So what would happen there is that they'd get to go up to 8, but also get the 8 in width.
Does it need
I'm okay with that. I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Then you're at what, 64, or
I was gonna say
depending on how much of the sign they use, but that could be up to them.
middle.
Yeah.
64.
I thought it was incredibly interesting what they do.
In terms of the standards on this, so the benefit to the applicant, which I think the applicant detailed a little bit in the testimony, outweigh any detriments to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or the community. Any thoughts on this standard?
No, I think I would motion to grant and accept the standards in the application with lesser relief.
That sounds good.
I'll second it.
Okay, and the lesser relief is 8 feet.
Yes.
4 square feet.
Okay, and we will poll the members. Holly,
Grant,
Cora,
Grant,
Lorraine,
Grant,
David,
Grant,
and Tyrese.
Grant.
So the motion carries 5-0 for lesser relief. The applicant gets 8 feet. Case number 8 is 2611 Mount Reed Boulevard. This is the detached pylon pole sign with the LED message component.
this one's really tall too. 20 feet.
Say that again?
I said this one is really tall too. 20 feet.
20 feet.
And remember the sign that's in Greece isn't going anywhere
right,
because that's in Greece.
right.
Yeah, so where you saw this from your site visits, the sign is essentially on the town city line.
How tall is the one in Greece?
I didn't ask him that. It's
it's a big one.
It's a big one. It's a big one.
Huge.
It's a big one. I just don't think, I get what he's doing, but I just think the example that we did at Royal Car Wash, I remember, because there was some argument at Royal Car Wash and I kind of pushed back on that. And we were like, hey, this is Ridge Road. It's sort of different, but that sign looks great that Royal did on Ridge Road. And the one that we've approved because they proposed the pylon sign. And we were like, well, it's Ridge Road. Everyone has a pylon. It's a different character. But, he basically said they're trying to promote the car wash and the oil change.
Yeah.
I just don't think the message board is necessary. I think
no, it's too busy.
I mean, it's too busy. People, you're trying to market because and I get his argument, a message where you can do other things, but we're not looking for you to do other things. You're looking to do, market your businesses. And I think with that hill there, he could do a nice sign like Royal does that shows both the things he wants to market.
Yeah.
I don't want to
static, right?
Yeah, they did a great sign on a like whatever that material they use, that brick material they use, and it looks pretty, and it's big when you pass it. I mean, it's not a pylon, but it's big. I don't think people understand. People don't look up and they're not driving with their chins up in the air.
No. It's a signage company that sells them on it.
Oh, I know. Oh yeah, I work with. Oh yeah.
So yeah. Well, I know, but I'm just saying,
I mean, I don't want to deny him. I don't know do we want to give him comments to come back with something else, or?
Well, he's willing to
I
work
think
with
so.
us. He's
Yeah,
willing
he
to
said he
work
would
with
work
us.
with us.
He wanted to work with us.
Yeah, so I think I'll be inclined to hold it, Matt. And if you have some examples, tell him to take a look at what we approved at Royal right down the street.
Let me get specific here, though. Let's talk about the components. So the height is a concern. So you're talking about exploring different options of height.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And no message board for me. I don't think
No
you
mess,
need.
yeah.
I agree.
Too much.
Great.
Too much.
Nobody's going to read it on that road anyhow.
Explore different heights. Remove message board. Let me just look at the staff report because that's gonna dictate the size of so the size of the sign, proposed sign is 92 square feet, which is the size of it is because of the LED message board sign.
Yeah, that's pretty much that's where he's getting all that size from.
Yeah, that's a nice guy.
So let me ask this question. The applicant offered testimony around, well, I guess this is a question for you all. The applicant offered testimony around promotion of their business, and they talked about their business plan and marketing plan, et cetera, et cetera. And what did they connect the digital message board sign to that business plan as part of the testimony?
It kind of conveyed us a community service to get.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't connected to the business. He didn't say, hey, I'm competing with Royal and Delta, and I'm gonna put a car wash $5.
Right.
He said Amber Alerts, community
This
messaging.
is a nice
No
thing.
alerts.
I think the churches have that all covered with message boards. I mean, that's what everyone says when they want a message board. I'm like,
Now, do keep in mind, folks, this is an industrial district. What would
Yeah.
be your argument against a digital sign in an industrial district? I mean, if you're going to allow them anywhere,
But if that's the reason why it's at the height that it is, then I guess that would be the argument, right? If you cut the message board, it doesn't have to exceed the standard by like 18.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I mean, he can come back with us something that's higher than what code allows. I just, again, I'm using that Royal as an example. I think what he laid out, what he wanted to do was sort of the same thing Royal Car Wash wanted to do. I mean, and then also, I know it's in the town of Greece, but I mean, he already has a pylon sign that's marketing his business already. Yes, that's in a different town, but I mean, I got to think about that too. I can't tell him what to do with it.
Right. Nobody driving says, oh, they need one in Rochester too when they drive, over.
Yeah. And that sign, you can see that current sign he has, you can see it going down. You can see it going down Ridge Road.
Before you get there.
Yeah, it's on the corner. And maybe he takes that one and tries to get a message board on that one. And then I know one on that strip has a message board though. We've got digital, but then you're thinking about the character of that. Because I remember we kind of went back and forth about Royal, and we were like, well, there's tons of pylon signs on Ridge Road, but I think we kind of met in the median. There's no really message boards there's large signs, but not message boards on that Ridge Road, that portion of the city. Yeah, there's pylons, no question. There are pylons. But, I think to more in line of what we just approved 2 years ago with Royal would be very fitting and would fit really nice here.
So Grant, less the relief? Is that what we're looking at?
No, I would hold it and have them come back with more.
Oh,
yeah.
that's right. Okay. Oh, that's right. That's what you said. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, because I
No,
mean,
that's fine. That's fine.
Matt, do you have enough from us to take to him? Okay.
because I mean, I would be inclined to give him more than 6 feet, but I don't want to give him 20.
Do we need to make a motion to hold it?
Yeah, go ahead and make a motion
no.
I'll make a motion to hold it.
I'll
based
second.
on what you submitted to me. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, the hold carries 5-0. Last case is case 9, 1840 Lyle Ave. Speaking of signs.
More signs.
My attempt to get every pole sign in the city of Rochester down. Oh gosh.
Right.
You're getting there. You're getting there.
I know I'm getting there. I'm just slow, but I'm getting there.
Now,
I don't think you're
What's
slow.
your friend on Plymouth?
I was gonna say there
You
are
know,
Let's talk about 1840 Lyle Avenue.
That's David people, Lorraine. That's David people.
Oh, God.
oh, boy.
there are a couple pole signs on Lyle between there and Mount Reed. Although his direct neighbor has a monument.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was cost. I knew the answer. I mean, obviously, this is cheaper to change out the faces. I mean, that's, I get
You want
that.
to get the cheapest way out.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I know where I am on it, but it's only 5 here. So as Johanna said, we got to kind of.
Well, what do you,
Gotta
I
go
mean,
wrong.
I'm open. I have no,
Yeah, I don't think it's significant because he's just updating what's already.
Yeah.
I agree.
And you think because of the character of the neighborhood, there are pole signs in that section of Lyle.
Mhm.
This is on the sort of the other Mount Reed industrial sort of.
Yeah, I
Right.
don't mind a little differentiation in heights, a little variety.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they were doing something different in terms of changing the size or changing other things, then that would be different. But just changing the logo, I don't think is a big deal for me.
But one thing we have to look at, let me not go there.
Say that a little louder, David.
Nothing.
Sorry.
You want to vote on this one?
you might not want to have that as the basis of agreeing to let them keep the pole sign, because we may have other cases where they're just changing the sign face and you. wouldn't
Yeah,
want
I mean,
to do
my
it.
position, I think he should bring it down and match his neighbor. I
My
think
position-
this is the
touches that
opportunity
pole.
for us. I'm sorry, I said,
If he touches that pole, he need to bring it down the pole.
I agree with you. That's where I am. I'm a deny.
You want to touch the pole? Did he want to change
If
the
he
pole?
touch it, if he change anything on that pole, he has to
Oh.
come to compliance.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
I mean, that sign next to him, I mean, that is just perfect. I think something like what his neighbor has. I know that is, that's probably above code is 4 feet, but that's probably 5.5 feet. I can't tell from this picture. I didn't get out I just drove by. I
I
didn't
think
get
it's
out.
6 here. 6 feet, it's M1.
Oh, 6. Yeah. So I think bringing it down to 6, I think it'll look really sharp. That's where I am with this. I'm not in approval for this one at all.
No, I'm not in favor of a pole.
And I think the same thing, if you guys remember, just like, remember when I think the M&T Bank on Lyle came to us a few years ago. I don't know if everybody was on here. And we sort of we told them we wanted to be brought down. And they said, nope, we're not even going to touch it then. We're going to keep the old logo on it. On the M&T. And I mean, the M&T Bank is right there on Lyle. So we sort of, we've been attempting to get these pole size down. And I think it's an opportunity, no matter what district they're in.
Well, we did this
I agree.
with that Sunoco on Dewey.
Oh, that's my complaint after this is because that sign isn't down and they changed it. But I'll talk to Matt right after this one.
Right? Like if you guys change it, you got to take it down. Now, whether or
Right.
not they follow that,
Yeah.
that was what we presented to them. Okay.
I agree. I deny it. The pole sign's got to go.
So as the applicant indicated, well, I don't think the applicant knows what the client wants to do. The client opted for this because it was the cheapest option.
Cheapest option, right?
Right.
So they could just opt not to touch it and leave it as is.
Leave it as
Agree.
Yep.
M&T Bank did the same thing a few years ago when they came before us. Right there on Lyle. That might have been 5 years ago now, but they came before us with signage and the M&T Bank right there on Lyle. They said, nope, we're not going to touch it.
Well, then
Okay.
I'll make a motion to grant.
second.
And Tyrese
Deny.
and David,
Deny.
Lorraine,
Deny.
Cora,
Good night.
and Holly.
Aye.
That's all, folks.
Whoa.
Just on follow up to that, I just wanted to let you know we have a national